Vivek Ramaswamy are referencing Larry Elder and talking about the epidemic of fatherlessness. However, when looking up why it matters, most articles online just list statistics. They're more likely to get better grades. Children are more likely to graduate high school. They have a better economic future. But they don't say why. And why can't a woman raise kids on her own? Welcome to Azimuth Podcast. I'm Kimberly McNabb.
And I'm Barrett McNabb. So we were in the elevator the other day, and there was a woman who was on the phone, and she was going to whatever random floor, but you can't help but overhear a conversation when there's three people in the elevator and one of them's on the phone, right? And her, I don't know who she was talking to, but her conversation revolved around that she had a son and that she did not know how to teach him to be a man because she had never been a boy or a man. And so, I mean, she's like, I want him to grow up to be a good man, but I've never been a man before, so I don't know how to do it. And, that just kind of spurred on a conversation that Kimberly and I had, and we wanted to kind of bring you in the conversation as well. Yep. We are seeing this fatherlessness, and this is not new, and this is not a Republican issue or a Democrat issue. President Obama said the same thing, that one of the number one problems that the America has is the lack of fathers in the household. So if you're looking for, this great epiphany, I mean, it comes from both sides of the political aisle because it's true.
Mm-hmm. And, we live in an era of female empowerment, like we can take on everything, but there's certain roles that we just aren't really accustomed or familiar with,
Sure,
especially when it comes to raising young boys. Now, Barrett, growing up, what were things that you wanted from your father?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously what you're looking for is your father is going to teach you things. And I'm not talking about math and writing. A father teaches you how to be involved in society. A father teaches you right from wrong. A father teaches you how to throw a baseball. A father teaches you how to, interact with your friends and how, roughhousing is okay. It teaches you that if you scrape your knee, you rub some dirt on it, and you don't wallow in self-pity. Now, I'm not saying that emotions are bad and that men shouldn't have emotions, but men historically have been those that have gone out and done the hunting and done the violence in the world. And you need to have tough men who stand ready to guard freedom's frontier. And a father is the one that's going to be doing that.
Exactly. Now, you mentioned throwing a baseball. My brother, he was calm, cool, collected, never acted like anything ever bothered him, but as you become older and you're still close with your siblings, you
Sure.
tend to bring up things from the past. And so he mentioned that it should have been dad to teach him to throw a baseball, and sometimes he would be bitter by the fact that it wasn't his father,
right,
the one to teach him how to do that. He was like, my dad should be here. And so I think most men are always going to long for that other part of a puzzle. It's just ingrained in us, I think.
I think you're absolutely right. And one of the things that's important, and I did a short on this, and we can put a link to it, but it was how to be a better father. And one of the things that I think being a better father is spending time with your children. It's easy to say, look, toys and collectible card games and material stuff is what a kid wants. And of course,
those aren't going to be the things the kid remembers.
Exactly.
It's the stories you tell them and the ways that you spent time together.
Exactly. And so, whenever our children ask me to play with them, I always try and put down anything that I'm doing because eventually they're not going to ask me, and they're going to want.
They're going to be too cool for that.
They're going to be too cool for that, and so. But the thing is I want to establish those memories that the reason I spent time with them is because I loved them and I cared about them, and I sat down and wore the tiara. I drank the fake tea at the tea parties. I played Legos.
And you try really hard with the Pokemon cards, but
I
that
do.
font is too small.
The font is beyond me reading it. I have to get a magnifying glass out. It's hey Pokemon, whoever makes that, can we make the font a little bit bigger so that I
Like
can
the adult cards.
yeah, so that I can help my kids out with learning how to do this Pokemon thing. But still, the thing is by caring in their interests, it sets the example and it sets the tone that they in the future can come to you with any other important life lesson. If they came to you, hey, I don't know how to do this, and you, let's sit down and we'll figure it out together. They're going to come to you when it's a big thing. Hey, I've made a mistake.
I like this boy at school that is really not good for them.
Yeah, our daughter's like, hey, first of all, you're not dating until you're out of the house in college, but yeah, if she comes and says, I like this boy, it allows me to be able to have those intimate conversations. And intimacy, a lot of times people mistake what intimacy is. Intimacy is the ability to share emotions with each other. And by developing a strong intimacy with your children, it allows them to come to you for problems. I mean, in the Army, we always say that soldiers always complain. They always complain. And the time you really, really need to start being worried is when soldiers no longer complain. And the reason is either
Why talk?
Well, they figure you don't care. They figure you can't solve their problem. Or they figure it's just a lost cause. And so, if soldiers are complaining,
you're building credibility.
You're building credibility. And so you want to be able to make sure that you're able to interact with your children. And obviously you're not talking about, integrated macroeconomics to a 6-year-old, right? But our children understand the value of money. They understand, that this costs this much amount of money, and if I want something, then it's super important to go ahead and talk about that. But still, I mean, it's it's an important skill that you need to have for your children in order to have them trust you in the future. And fathers play that role. I mean, it's a kind of a dominant figure in the household.
Well, also, I think them seeing you interact with me can help our son learn a little bit of how to treat women, whereas, okay, if there's no father around, how is the son supposed to learn that? I mean, do you really want them learning that from their friends or from TV?
Exactly.
I'd hope not.
Yeah, I mean, this works both ways. We're talking about fatherless homes, and we started off with the woman in the elevator talking about she's never been a man before. But the thing, flip it on the script.
So what a daughter can expect.
What a daughter can expect from a man. It's so one of the things that I like to do is I like to kiss you and hold you in front of the children. I like to pull your chair out, and so that a woman and a daughter can have expectations of what a future romantic interest should be and what the standard should be. Cute as can be, our daughter, who's 5, pulled my chair out for me at the dinner table last night. And, I was like, that's really cute. And the reason that she did that is because she sees me pull out Kimberly's chair whenever we sit down for a meal. I tuck her in, and so she did the same thing. Now, obviously, we'll let that eventually, percolate into, well, man should be pulling out your chair, but still, she saw it through repetition, and she did it last night, and that is truly what is important. Is you are setting the example for others to follow, and that's the best thing, because you don't raise children, you raise adults. Right? You turn children into adults. You don't raise children. You raise adults. And that's something that is super important.
And, they always say 2 heads are better than 1. right? And so you have not just two heads, but you also have like two sets of interests. Barrett is teaching them about, reading Harry Potter. I am not the slightest bit interested in Harry Potter. But Barrett is not really interested in running races. And so when our son was 5, I signed him up for his first 5K. And so you're going to have,
and we'll put a
kids
picture of his intense look on his face. And he was he 3 or 4?
No, he was 5.
Okay.
It was his first 5K,
okay,
so 3
right.
miles.
Okay.
So yeah, you're going to have kids with broader sets of interest as well. And then, also you're going to have two sets of families, the mom's family and the dad's family. So that's, different, more family in their lives, people that can spend time with them and hang out with them and hopefully babysit them and, just influence them. And if they're from different cultures, then they're more cultured.
Right. One of the big things, and it was a Hillary Clintonism, that it takes a village to raise a child, which is why, fathers don't need to be in the household. And I completely disagree with her. It doesn't take a village to raise a child. It takes a family to raise a child. And to your point, Kimberly, we're looking at mothers, fathers in the household, and then the extended family of grandparents on both sides. That's the family. It's not a village. These aren't villagers that are random people down the hall. Now I'm not saying that your next door neighbor that has similar children and you guys are all coming up back and forth and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking that Hillary was saying that it was the social welfare system that should be raising the children as the village.
Yeah, and atmospheres like that, you get kind of the 9 construction workers on the side of the road, 8 of them are hanging out and one person's actually working. That's more the mindset you're going to come across.
Right.
Well, not my problem, or, you got other people, why should I care?
Right. No, absolutely. And a man also when it comes to discipline. And this is not a parenting guide, whether or not you do corporal punishment with your children or not. This is not a parenting guide. It's a private decision between you and your spouse. But still, a man has a deeper baritone voice and has an easier projection in order to make on-the-spot corrections. And safety as well. Safety, if they're running into the street, I've noticed that if I lay down the law with a big booming voice to say stop, I get a better reaction.
Yes, and men are typically bigger than women, and so it's just eyesight and hearing. It's going to capture more attention. It's just
we occupy more real estate.
Yes, and kids, they're basic human beings. They're going to tend to pay more attention to that. And
one of the things that as far as doing the things that cause physical strength or that need physical strength, being able to pick them up and throw them in the air. We've definitely gotten into some wrestling with both children, the boy who's 6 and the girl who's 5, and they're both in jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and so it makes for some interesting roughhouse sessions when we're in the living room and we're just all wrestling, and they both gang up on me and beat up on me and stuff like that. And I'm tough. Obviously I can take it, but the technique that they're developing is starting to get worrisome because they're getting good. And so if I happen to have a loose arm or hand out, man, that is going in an arm bar in a hot second. But still, I'm really big, but still the technique that they're doing is going to eventually, win out in the end.
Well, also them jumping on you. I mean, them put together, now they're starting to weigh more than I do. And so, to make wrestling memories last longer, you should be the one to do that.
Exactly. And I have fun doing it. I mean, they beat up on me like a piñata, or they get on the top of the couch and jump on me like it's the top rope, jumping in with the people's elbow like The Rock, and stuff like that. But being able to have those physical interactions with the children, it's important as well. They're going to remember that. And so it just turns into, and plus it's a cooperation thing. When they both look at each other and say, "Let's fight Daddy," they're on the same team.
For once.
And so they're on the same team and they're ready to gang up on Daddy. And I think the emotional, the physical, the ethics, letting them know that one of the best things I want them to do is to be good people, and to raise them into good stewards of society, good human beings that care for their fellow mankind. And
that's an active role.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there are some dads that are basically, as my brother put it, just lampshades that just sit there and the mother runs the whole show. And really, it's not that much better than not having a father in the household, because it's just another person that you may think doesn't care about you.
Right.
And really the only benefit of having that so-called lampshade in the house is you have a mother that's not going to talk badly about the missing daddy. Oh, you just like your daddy, which, is bad for a daughter, because she's going to talk about any man in her life like that one day. And then, it's demeaning to men in general. And so a boy would be like, well, I don't matter, or why should I in the future take part in my future family?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And also, showing children what right looks like. So my son and I, we've gone camping a couple of times. I took him for the first time. It was just a single overnight when he was 4. And the first thing that we did, we pulled into our camp spot, and I got a trash bag, and we picked up trash together. And, of course, he's young, and he said, "Daddy, why are we doing this? This isn't our trash." And I explained to him that you always want to leave a place better than when you found it. And it's those. I'm glad he asked the question. Because it allowed me to turn this into a teachable moment. And so when we finished up our campsite and we cleaned up our trash, we did another round of picking up other people's trash, and he got it. He got it. And now he understands that taking care of the environment is all of our responsibility. And it doesn't matter if it's a campsite or if it's a corporation or if it's a nonprofit. If you leave an organization or a location better than when you found it, we all win.
Yes. And again, I think this is another example of two heads are better than one, because I'm obviously not the one that took him camping in that scenario. Right. And I like my bed, so
glamping.
So yeah, that's another instance where you could teach him something that I would probably be teaching him something else, but it's more in line with our regular routine.
Now, what about scholastics?
Oh yes, I mean, come on, have you seen Common Core math? Definitely, two heads are better than one.
Right.
And I explain things a certain way, and he may pick up a little bit there. You explain it a different way, he can pick up more of the picture that way.
And then the teacher just explains it in a whole Martian way.
Exactly.
As far as I'm concerned.
Well, also, in making rules, hopefully, a kid's brain will pick up, okay, two people are agreeing on the same rule. Right. Mm-hmm. What are the chances that both people are crazy in the same way?
Right.
If they can agree on a rule.
And that's something, that's always a scene from a sitcom. Child goes to dad and asks for something, and the dad always says, "What'd your mom say?" And then the child goes to the mom and asks her something, "What'd your dad say?" And they try and play mom against dad. We do a really good job of being unified. We do not play that game.
Yes, we just go straight to other parents. Like, what did you say?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Because kids are smart.
What was your answer? And so we eliminate the middleman, and we have excellent communication and just talk to each other.
Well, there's a reason why a 6-year-old's testimony would not be admissible in a court of law.
Right. Exactly.
Well, also, having two parents in the household, hopefully you don't have to pay for as much child care.
Yeah. So, it's an
another
economic
benefit.
reason. Yeah, it's an economic reason.
And also, you either have two incomes or you have one income, but less cost of child care.
Right.
So fiscal reasons as well to have two parents in the household.
Yeah, we're small business owners, and so we have a huge benefit that we work in our businesses, but we also do a lot of our business from home. And so unlike a lot of mom and dads, Kimberly and we're together 24 hours a day. We work together. Obviously, we do leisure time together. And so it's kind of this amazing relationship that we have. A lot of families, we kind of joked about this a little bit when the pandemic shut everything down, and people that worked in offices came home and were working remotely, and parents, moms and dads, husbands and wives were working together, and they're like, who is this person? I don't like this person.
There's a reason why the divorce rates
the divorce rate went up. They're like, I can't stand being around this person all the time. Well, for us, we laughed because that was just like Wednesday.
Amateurs.
Yeah, amateurs. We've been working together for the past 7 years together. So good thing we like each other and love each other. But but the children, when they come home, they see both of us, and we live kind of in downtown-ish Houston, and so we live near a major highway, which is I-10, and you see the gridlock traffic, and we picked up our children, and they're like, "What's going on there?" And I said, "It's called rush hour." And they're like, "What's that?" And I explained, that some mommies and or daddies go far away, sometimes an hour and a half away from their house to work, and then they have to drive an hour and a half back, and they're all trying to get home, and we don't have that problem.
Yep. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. Yep. Okay, so one of the things that we wanted to talk about, again, Azimuth Podcast is a variety show, and not only do we talk about news and politics, but we also talk about family values and leadership, and that's one of the things we wanted to focus on this segment. So thank you so much for tuning in to Azimuth Podcast, and please stand by after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.